lot in your program, so take a look at those. And now I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker for today, Amelia. So let's give her a warm welcome.
Good morning. Hi. Thank you, Allison. My name is Amelia, and I'm the Children's Program Director here at the River. I'm so glad that you are all here today. So, I've been feeling quite overwhelmed lately, especially since the summer began. There seems to be a lot of competing priorities in my life recently. My children, their summer activities, work, preparing for the church to move to the new space very, very soon, planning for the retreat next weekend, and visiting family in Asia soon after. All good things, wonderful things, and I try not to complain. But they all require much of my thoughts, my time, my involvement. So some things get neglected. For example, my garden. Typically, every year, I have several vegetables planted and growing in the garden. But this year, I didn't get around to buying enough plants. So, I have one big planter that did not get any plants or attention at all this year. I left it bare and empty since the spring. But check out this neglected planter. Plants. There are 3 different species of grapes and cherry tomatoes. And I had my first harvest about a week and a half ago, enough for a bowl of salad or for snacking. Now, we all know how plants grow, right? Some would say there's nothing miraculous about these. The tomatoes that did not get harvested last year fell into the dirt, and the seeds sprouted and created new plants. But here's why this is so wonderful to me. They sprouted, they grew, and they produced fruits without any help from me at all. In this season, when I feel like I'm being pulled in many directions, when I feel like I can't give any more effort and time and attention any more than I'm already doing, I'm reminded that good things can still happen. Even without my intervention, good things can and will happen outside my control. As intelligent and capable beings, we all want to improve our lives and our environment. Evolution has trained us that the more we can gather, the more we can cultivate and utilize our resources, the more control we have over our environment, the more likely we are to survive. When we learn to anticipate and control potential dangers, such as the threat of predators and competition, we increase our likelihood of survival and reproduction. Now, our modern world is vastly different now, but this every man for himself mindset continues to influence our behavior today. Whether it is in the drive to succeed and climb our career ladder, or in acquiring possessions for status or self-preservation. Even in the way that we parent our children, we often want to create a controlled environment to protect our children from harms and increase their success in the world. I mean, if not us, who? We have been led to believe that for our lives to go well, we need to do it all and all by myself. Capitalism and rapid societal change are additional factors that create a sense of scarcity, urgency, and competition. and this further exacerbates this mindset. You probably have heard the phrase, take control of your life. It is the core message of nearly every self-help book. It even sounds mature and spiritual. I need to know more, anticipate more, accumulate more, and get ahead of everyone else. Survival of the fittest. But I sometimes wonder if being the only surviving one or the surviving few can feel lonely. The Human Development Index, or HDI, which assesses countries based on life expectancy, access to education, and per capita income, shows that our quality of life in general has been improving. We've been doing a pretty good job at improving the many external areas of our lives. However, at the same time, we are not getting happier, especially for those of us in the Western countries. The United States, for example, has been seeing a decline in the level of happiness since the 70s. Studies show that one major contributing factor in the decline in happiness is social isolation and loneliness. In a recent survey, 36%, that's more than 1 in every 3 American adults, reported experiencing serious loneliness. And these are feelings of disconnectedness, reduced sense of belonging, feelings like we do not have meaningful relationships, or feelings unsupported and uncared for. And many of us probably already know that chronic loneliness has profound implications for both mental and physical health too. We are currently in a sermon series called Living with Intention. And we are looking at some of the ways faith may help us navigate our cultural current, or the waters that we swim in. Evolution has taught us that being the fittest in nature helps our species survive. Being competent and competitive is a significant survival skill. It has also become an unquestionable cultural value. But as we are struggling to strive, I wonder if turning into nature can help us experience life more fully. What does nature really teach us about our place in the universe? Or about living with others? How can I feel a sense of belonging in the vastness of this world? What's my significance? And is there really anyone for me? So, as I was learning and delving deeper into gardening, I encountered some fascinating information about plants and trees. Did you know that trees talk to each other? So apparently, beneath the ground, a few inches below our feet, there's a vast network of communication and interaction. And experts are calling this the Wood Wide Web. Trees are connected to each other through underground fungal networks or mycelium. Mycelium can vary in size from microscopic to 10 square kilometers. The trees share water, nutrients, even messages, such as distress signals about drought and diseases, through this network. The mycelial network is a shared economy where ecosystems flourish without greed. And for young saplings in a deeply shaded part of the forest, the network is literally a lifeline. Lacking the sunlight to photosynthesize, they survive because the big trees pump sugar into their roots through the network, like a mother suckling their young. You see, we have generally thought that trees must compete for water, nutrients, and sunlight in order to survive. But there's now a substantial body of scientific evidence that show that trees are very communal. They have evolved to live in cooperative and interdependent relationships with each other and with the entire ecosystem. The fungi, the soil, the water, the sun, the weather, and all other creatures around them. And just like the trees, we humans cannot grow and thrive without our connections and relationships too. So, this is not a story about survival of the fittest. This is a story about partnership, about being cooperative and nurturing. Perhaps survival of the kindest or the most connected. And this reminds me of a passage from Genesis and how we may have misunderstood the word subdue and have dominion for some times, especially when it comes to our relationship with nature. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on earth." The words "have dominion" are the Hebrew verb rada, which is related to other words that have the meanings of descend, go down, and spread, as if to rule by going down, walking among subjects as an equal. So we humans are not apart and above nature. In fact, the trees, the animals, and us are not independent beings, but rather a part of the same story, the story of the kingdom of God. Like one from this passage, Jesus also said, "This is what the kingdom of God is like. A man scatters the seed on the ground night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up. The seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain. First the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it because the harvest has come." Kind of like what happened to me, right? Now, in the first look, it seems that the man is the sole character in the story. He is all alone in the world. The harvest comes because of what the man is doing. It is the fruit of his labor. But there's a lot more to this story. There is a complex process that has to happen before the fruits come. Let's first talk about the man. For the best possible result, the man in our story has to understand the soil that he is working with. It's possible that the man had to prepare the soil before scattering the seeds. This helps mix the organic matter into the soil, helps control the weeds, and loosen up the area ready for planting. And that's hard work. And it requires a lot of effort and knowledge from the man. This is where his competency plays a big role. But let's think more about how he learned about agriculture. Maybe he learned it from his parents. And his parents learned it from their parents. Agriculture is considered one of the oldest sciences, one that is passed down through generations. Or maybe he learned farming through the sharing of information or observing others. Whatever it is through interconnection, relationships, and reciprocity that these men and us gain life. Now, the knowledge and the hard work are not sufficient. The timing of the planting matters a great deal too. As a general rule, in New York, in our area, you want to allow at least 4 months from sowing till the first frost, so that the plants will have time to grow big enough to endure the colder temperature. Many environmental factors are beyond our control or manipulation. But if the man can align his knowledge and effort with the rhythm of nature, they will become most effective. What about the plant seeds? This is what happened inside a single plant cell. Just one tiny cell. Photosynthesis is a complex system that involves various elements in order to produce oxygen and carbohydrates, essential building blocks for almost all living things. And this internal yet intricate process requires nothing from the man. Let's not forget about the bees and the pollinators. They're always working, and they're working in conjunction with the man, partnering together towards fruition. See, what I'm trying to get you to see is that the man was not alone. We too are never alone. We have the whole universe to work with. We have all sort of partners in this big system that we live in. We can let go of the mindset of relentless competition and self-preservation. The survival of the fittest is not a complete story of life. We thrive through connections. A recent survey by Ipsos finds that these are the top 6 aspects of life that give the highest level of satisfactions. And they are children, if you're a parent; relationship, if you have a partner; access to and in touch with nature; level of education; relationship with relatives; and friends. Do you notice that 5 out of 6 factors above have something to do with connections and relationships? This is because we are designed as interconnected beings who are always partnering with God, with our fellow beings, with our environment, and with all the creative forces that are all around us. In our story, the seeds want to grow. The soil wants to nurture. The bees want to make love. The sun shines. The rain falls. and the seasons cycle. The world around us is co-creating, progressing, and moving towards fruition and expansion. One of the most famous quotes by Albert Einstein says, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe in a friendly or a hostile universe." Believing that God works with and through everything for our goodness, believing that this friendly universe is creating opportunities and possibilities for me and my family helps. This does not mean things always turn out the way that I expect and in every moment, or that I will never be disappointed. Trust me, that's not true. But it does help. Help me feel less lonely. Help me feel less helpless. I do not have to know about everything, or be present in every situation, or be in control in every aspect of my life and outperform others. I can rest, just like the man in the story. For you, growing seeds may look like parenting, or developing a career and business opportunities. It could also be about making friendships, or taking care of elderly parents or sick loved ones, or something else entirely. But being aware of our connections, accepting that we are a part of a larger cosmic process, and intentionally partnering with all that are around us can help guide our paths and foster an inner purpose as we continue in our journey, and that is faith. After all, we are never in control. Our bodies, our parents, our children, our government, our failures teach us that we are never really steering this ship. But we can feel at home in this water. And this is not an upsetting discovery. This is a release and joy. A thrilling discovery of divine providence and guidance. So, throughout this sermon series, we want to create space for you to reflect and practice some of the things that we have been talking about together. Nature and community are two things that are often prescribed to develop a strong foundation for overcoming loneliness and experiencing life more fully. So in just a minute, we will spend about 6 to 7 minutes reflecting on questions related to these topics. For those of you in this room, you will receive a printed sheet of paper with reflection questions. And there should be pens on your seat. For those of you at home, questions will be projected on the screen. But before we do that, let me leave you with this one passage from Job. "But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will teach you. Or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? It is His hand. In His hand is the life of every creature and breath of all mankind." Thank you.